What's going on, everybody? This is Captain Obvious, and welcome to my game review of Assassin's Creed Origins. First, let's talk about the story. Players take on the role of Bayek the Medjay, who is a warrior stricken with grief and vengeance as he aims to kill the ones responsible for his son's death. The beginning cutscene is extremely powerful and conveys the emotions Bayek is feeling to want his enemies slaughtered. Bayek immediately comes off as a strong and determined character with a story arc that allows you to easily dive into the origins of the Creed. His wife Aya comes along for the ride and is seeking the same vengeance. There's also a rogue researcher named Layla who works at Abstergo's historical research division, and she's initially tasked with recovering an Egyptian artifact, but instead finds Bayek and Aya's mummies and decides to use a modified Animus to relive their lives. In my opinion, it's the best storyline in the Assassin's Creed games since the Ezio trilogy. The main storyline is extremely engrossing, and the lore and side missions hidden around the world just add to the overall experience without cluttering it up. Overall, 9 out of 10. Now let's talk controls. The controls feel very good this time around. I didn't get a lot of that clunky, awkward jumps that I had in previous versions of the game, and the ability to map two different weapons and bows and be able to recall them with a push of a button felt very, very smooth. The initial combat was a bit tricky for me to get used to because the attack button is the right bumper. However, after a while, it became second nature and easy to control. The replacement of the eagle vision with the eagle named Senu, which again you can call with just one button push, was a great choice by Ubisoft because it felt like a more modern in-game mechanic. The camera can be somewhat frustrating if you don't use the lock-on feature, but it's merely an inconvenience at times, not really game-breaking. Overall, 8.5 out of 10. Moving on to gameplay. This game has a ton to offer. The world is the largest Assassin's Creed world I've ever seen, and getting 100% completion will definitely be no easy task. Players take on missions, assassinations, and gain new weapons and equipment over the course of the game. Here we see some changes and improvements overall that make the experience feel a bit more advanced and streamlined. Gone is the mini-map, replaced with a points of interest compass at the top of the screen, which can easily be gotten to by fast traveling to sync points you unlocked, or by calling your mount and auto-traveling to the requested destination. This is the equivalent of riding the taxi in GTA. Combat has also seen change in execution and feel. Before it felt like a game of countering and attacking, this no longer applies, as guarding, strong attacks, and weak attacks all play a major role, as does dodging. It truly feels like more effort is needed to finish some of the stronger bad guys this time, and it's mostly a success. There are wild animals all over, such as hippos and alligators, and you will find yourself battling enemies and then suddenly attacked by a pack of wild hyenas, which you and the enemies will fend off together, all while continuing to fight each other. It sounds very complicated, but it's a very fluid system that seems alive and realistic and adds another element of danger to the game. Climbing seems to feel very similar to past games, but better. There's much more Bayek can climb than ever before, with players being able to forge their own paths up mountains and cliffs. The upgrade system is akin to Skyrim-style branching, and you will have to decide what upgrades are best at the moment for you and your playstyle. Weapons have levels and ratings as well as missions, so you never feel as though enemies are too overpowered because you can determine if you are strong enough to take on the task. Overall, 9 out of 10. Next up is art design. The world itself is absolutely huge and breathtaking. Having never visited Egypt myself, but always having wanted to, this is the next best thing. Shimmering sand dunes, huge pyramids, and marshy swamps are just a taste of everything to see in Origins. Walking into Alexandria, the city is vast in size and grandeur. Ubisoft has absolutely nailed the atmosphere and aesthetics of ancient Egypt, and every time I boot the title up, I'm in awe. Overall, 10 out of 10. Finally, let's talk about key misses. Honestly, other than a few visual glitches and silly AI tracks at times, I don't have anything too negative to say about the game. The loot is done well, the world is well designed, and the DLC that is planned will make an engrossing game even more engrossing. I could go on and on about how much I've fallen in love with the setting, the improvements to the core gameplay, and the way it feels like Ubisoft had breathed new life into the franchise, but I think I've done that. Overall, game comes in at a 9.13. The year off and restructure of the game has done wonders for it. almost bringing Assassin's Creed into the RPG territory rather than just being an action-adventure game. While I can see some being disappointed in that aspect, I love role-playing games, well-executed loot, and exploration, and Assassin's Creed nails these new elements while still feeling like an Assassin's Creed game at its core. It's one of the best Assassin's Creed games I've ever played. That's going to do it for me, guys. Until next time, Captain Obvious out. Peace.